I were to stop this presentation to answer a text message, that would seem ridiculous, right? I'm clearly here for a reason, and opening my phone right now would be inappropriate. But what if it just takes a second? I could probably text it really quickly, balance the phone here, send the message, and maintain eye contact. Either way, doesn't it seem unacceptable? It's strange, however, that people do not adopt the same philosophy about texting and driving. Like giving a presentation, drive requires my full attention, and I have a purpose to fill. Many people, however, especially teenagers, find it acceptable to text and drive. I'm sure many, if not all of us, have done it, maybe even consistently. I know I have. But after reading several studies and articles, I have formed a concrete position on texting while driving. This has become a serious issue, one of which you may contribute to, so we have to be aware of its effects. The purpose of this speech is to prove that texting while driving is a habit that needs to stop. So if you do text and drive, I hope I can convince you to be more safe while on the road. More specifically, I'm going to argue that people should not text and drive because 1, the process is distracting, 2, the accidents can be fatal, and 3, the messages can wait. First, people need to stop texting and driving because it's more of a distraction than we think. Texting while driving may seem easy or natural to you, but it does in fact take your attention away from the more important task of driving. In general, as humans, we believe we are great multitaskers. Research, on the other hand, it shows that we're actually more distracted when we open our phones behind the wheel. The Christian Science Monitor is an international newspaper, and it's by Professor Schreier of the University of Utah's Applied Cognition Laboratory. He says almost nobody multiprocesses the way they think they can, and regardless of age, the likelihood of a crash while on a cell phone increases 4-fold. Also, a mobility journal explains how texting is actually a distraction. The article reads, this impairment is caused by 1, the increased mental workload required to write the text message, 2, the less physical control caused by holding the phone and controlling the wheel, and lastly, the visual impairment caused by continually looking back and forth from the road ahead and the phone screen. So mentally, physically, and visually, we are diverting our attention away from driving, and although we think we can handle it, we just don't realize its effects. So the short time on your phone may seem like nothing, but it is actually a distraction. And this can lead to tragic outcomes, which puts me on my next point. Next, one way to convince you to not text and drive is to share with you its risks. USA Today reports that Americans send about 135 billion text messages has an increasingly familiar downside. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration data, nearly 6,000 deaths each year occur, and they involve distracted drivers. So 6,000 lives could be spared if we as a community just put our phones down. It's a small thing to give up. Another Christian Science Monitor article shows two stories. A 70-year-old girl driver in New York swerved into oncoming traffic and hit a truck dead on, killing herself and 4 passengers. She had been texting and driving. A train engineer was involved in a collision in California that killed 25 passengers and injured 130 others. He had been texting at the time of the mishap. So these stories show us that accidents can and do happen. And although you think this can't happen to you, these people thought the same thing, which is why they opened their phones. So accidents like these are actually more common than we think, and we are putting ourselves and others at similar risks by opening our phones. Lastly, we should not text and drive because it's not necessary. The messages can wait, and they're just not that important. If you were to pull out your phone and pull up the last message you got before coming in here, are those messages worth dying for? We know that the consequences of texting and driving are dangerous, so why put yourself in that situation in the first place? The messages can sit in your inbox and the world will not end. Our increasing dependence on technology has led us to this habit, but we have to understand that what we are receiving is not that big of a deal. So no matter how fast you can reply or how important it may seem, it can wait until you reach your destination. In conclusion, this deadly mix of 2 American passions, the automobile and new technology, needs our attention. This has become a serious issue. In studies, experiments, and experience, they all prove that this habit needs to end. I have given you 3 reasons why people should not text and drive. 1 is a distraction, 2 it is dangerous, and 3 it's unnecessary. So with these reasons, I hope I can convince you to change your actions behind the wheel. And as advanced texters and rather new drivers, we have to be aware of what we are doing and, more importantly, not doing as drivers.